All right. How's everyone today? Sorry, the furnace should be cutting off here soon. It makes it a little bit loud. And yeah. So, how's everybody doing today? I will take your silence as that it's awesome. Okay, well, sorry about that. I think there was a hiccup there. I think we should be good now. All right. Well, let me start this over then. How is everyone? I think, does my shirt look a little funny? I think that's actually the compression and how the capture card is working with the camera. It's an interesting problem. I'll probably have to work on that. For the time being, you guys can get a little bit funky shirt. I don't know how the YouTube compression is going to handle that. It's an interesting topic we can look into. All right. So thanks, guys, for coming out today. I know I missed last week. Last week was Valentine's Day on Sunday. I was going to do it on Monday, but then we also got slammed with bitter cold, and there was a bunch of stuff I had to do with that, as well as started a new job. So I was relatively busy. Well, with no further ado, I just wanted to start this by saying that everything that I say here is my own opinion. I don't represent a company. I'm not paid by a company, and no company has a say in what I say, as well as no matter what company I work for, past, present, or current, past, present, or future, I don't represent them. So these are my own thoughts that I share here and germane to me. Okay, now we can get going. Let's start with this. All right. So I've been thinking more and more on the Google article about how they want to make open source more secure. And the more I think about what they wrote, the more I'm a little annoyed by it. So I look through both MIT as well as Apache, and all of these have disclaimers of warranty. Basically, open source is used at your own risk. And all Google's article was pushing it on. Basically, they wanted this, number 7, deleted for core technologies or technologies, open source projects they thought were core to them. How's the stream for everybody? Google is telling me that the status is good, but that the bit rate is lower. But if I raise the bit rate, it does weird things. So I'm not sure I'm going to do that. Let me know if there's a problem. All right. So I'm actually going to release a video on this and a blog article on it, because I think that it's misunderstanding what open source is. And I think a lot of companies misunderstand what open source is. And so I think it's important. So I'm probably going to release a full video instead of just doing stuff here with the disclaimer of warranty. Anyways, both MIT and Apache, which Kubernetes is under the Apache, I believe. It's not MIT. Anyways, it's either Apache or MIT. Has this disclaimer of warranty, as well as things like sudo. This came from the sudo bug. All right. Let's move on to the big news of the week. This actually came out 2 weeks ago. If you follow my Twitter, I did tweet about it. But it has been accepted that the add generic programming using type parameters to the Go language. So Go is almost a fully featured programming language now. Well, now it will be 1.18. As you can see, there were still 123 people who do not want it to be a fully fledged programming language. I was not among those. I was among the thumbs up people and the party people. I do the party horn all the time. All right, so basically generics in 1.18 is coming, or 2. I think it's 1.18. I think it's 1.18. That's what I saw. Anyways, so that's really cool. We can now rewrite a lot of things like Kubernetes in Rust. Because Rust has its own foundation now. A lot of large companies, including Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Mozilla, Howie, I think also. Yeah, Howie contributed funding, so they'll have at least 1 million annually to the Rust Foundation. And this Rust Foundation is kind of going to be what cloud native is to Go. So basically, if you don't know, cloud native is very much a most of the things in there are Go. Although there is Envoy is in C++, but most of the other things are in Go. I think the Rust Foundation is going to try to be the cloud native. Oh, look, they say right here who's sponsoring them. I nailed it. Right here down at the bottom. I don't think you can quite see it. Nope. At the bottom of this page, they actually show which ones. It's cut off for you guys, though. But anyways, it's going to be the Rust Foundation. I kind of was thinking that Rust would go to the Apache Foundation. Part of me is like, do we really need another open source foundation? But I guess the maintainers of Rust thought it was important to stay maybe neutral from the Apache Foundation. I don't really feel like the Apache Foundation isn't neutral, but they have their own foundation. Really cool. I'm very excited about it. All right, let's move on from the Rust Foundation. I am very, very excited about this. This was probably the biggest thing here. I found this blog article. It's about why open source project maintainers are reluctant to use digital signatures and two-factor authentication. I actually think these are two things you should use on all of your projects. So if you have an open source project, it's not hard to set up two-factor authentication or a check for a digital signature. Now, if you think that your project is for some reason something somebody wouldn't want to have their name tied to, which I think is a weird statement, but if for some reason that is a thing, maybe not the digital signature, but at least the two-factor authentication. And this two-factor authentication is going to help you protect from somebody's account that you think is trusted being taken over by a malicious party. Anyways, this link is in the description. It's a good blog article to check out if you'd like. And I think it's really well done. So kudos to the writer of that. This is another article about Linus's law for open source security, and it's basically hashing out something that Linus has stated about how if you have enough eyes on a subject, then you should be able to get better security, but more secure code because you have more eyes on it. And it's kind of just going over the status of that. And I thought it was really well. And it talks about trust and transparency. And it talks about all of the different things. So trust and transparency, trust in people, trust in software. And I thought it was really good. So it's worth a read. Let's get into some new open source projects. Well, not new. This first one is from HashiCorp. It's not really new because it was released in December, but I completely missed it. Terraform 1.14, released in December. I haven't actually used it yet because I didn't realize 1.14 was released. Is released. So go ahead and check it out. One of the things that I love most in 1.14 here is this concise diff. Something that if you've used it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Anyways, the concise diff is turned on by default, but it is still considered in beta. But I'm very excited about this. So definitely check out Terraform 1.14. It's out there. I found this project. So Azure is one of the major cloud players out there, but this is Blob Hunter, and it works for Azure. Kind of wish it would also work for AWS. But basically looks for sensitive data in blobs in Azure. It's a pretty cool tool that you can use to help make sure that you don't have sensitive data in your blobs in Azure. So anyways, it's worth checking out. Again, I haven't used it yet, but I actually plan to because it looks very interesting. I plan on testing it out, see how well it catches sensitive data in Azure blobs. So all of these links are in the description if you're interested in one of these. All right, so here is Presto Workload Analyzer. This is from the same people who make Trino. It wasn't called Trino before. What was it called? Anyways, Trino is a distributed SQL query engine. Basically just a query engine on top of your SQL. And the Workload Analyzer is a project that collects Presto and Trino workload statistics and helps you analyze your queries. It's an analyzer. So anyways, if you're using Trino, then you might want to check this out. It might be really helpful for you. All right, Grafana 7.4. I almost said 4.17. That's completely wrong. It's out. One of the cool things here is the time series panel visualization. I can't speak today. And it's out in beta, and it looks pretty cool. I haven't gotten to try this out yet, but it looks like I will have to be updating my Grafana to try out some of these new things. So they have a pretty good high-level overview here. This was really my favorite thing. The other things is they did some improvements just to the performance. Jaeger is one of the big ones that I've been watching. This right here, I covered this a week or two earlier, and some more security stuff. So definitely check it out if you're using Grafana. It's in the pipeline, and this is Jaeger. All right, Istio 1.9 is out. It has really two big changes. One is it adds support for VMs, and that's out in here. Another thing that I saw was some stuff with security and authorization policies. So these two things are going to be what I consider the largest things about this, these authorization policies, as well as support for VMs. So those of you who use VMs can still now use Istio as your service mesh and use it as a service mesh to your containers and your VMs. Because prior to this, Istio only ever supported your containers. It would only service mesh to your containers, and now you can use it with your VMs. So there's a bunch of other stuff in here. The link is in the description if you're interested in other stuff that's in Istio. And yeah. All right, let's talk about Netflix. I don't talk about Netflix too often. They open source some stuff, but not a ton of stuff. But if you guys are into GraphQL, I myself haven't done a ton of GraphQL. I know that Netflix is a huge evangelical. I don't know. They do a lot of GraphQL stuff. So if you're interested in GraphQL, they do and release a lot of stuff. But they basically released their GraphQL framework for Spring Boot. Now, I'm also not a Spring Boot person, so you're probably never going to see a video on this because I used to write Java, and I try to avoid writing Java as much as I can at this point. So I don't write a whole lot of Java, so probably not going to see one. But they released this, their framework for writing GraphQL for the Spring Boot. So if you write Java and you write GraphQL, this might be worth checking out. All right. This is something I've been watching. It was back in 2019. Yeah, that seems like forever ago. We've had a pandemic and now freezing weather in between when this was announced. But it is now going to be released into public ecosystem. So now we can go out and play around with Azure Quantum. I'm super excited about this. I know I'm going to spend way too much money playing around with this. I will have to make a video about Azure Quantum. I know the basics about Quantum, but I've never actually written anything for a quantum computer. So this has me very excited. And I'll definitely have to release some videos on quantum computing in the future. I absolutely loved this article by Cockroach Labs. So Cockroach makes a NoSQL database, and they do a lot of their stuff on Kubernetes. And this blog article, written at February 9th, 2021, about why deploying on Kubernetes is like flying with an alligator. Absolutely perfect as far as a blog article goes. It was informative, but at least as well as entertaining, as well as showed a depth of knowledge of running a lot of stuff on Kubernetes. So I definitely suggest, if you're thinking about using Kubernetes or whatnot, definitely you read this article. They do a lot of really great stuff with Kubernetes, and they release a lot of good blog articles. All right, I found this funny. I've been using and working on a video for the M1 Mac. There's already malware out there for it. So those of you who say Macs don't get malware, the M1 Mac already is susceptible to malware, and they don't even know what it does yet. They just have found it. So anyways, I found that fun and interesting. I don't really care about Macs though, so we can move on. More on Azure. Azure now has released a premium firewall. What does this mean? They do some extra stuff for you, like TLS inspection, IDPS, web categories, and URL filtering. So you can filter amongst specific URLs, not just the fully qualified domain names. This seems really cool, actually. I kind of hate that it's a premium feature because I think they're going to charge for it. It's not charged for right now, so you can use it for free. But my understanding is that these things, the TLS inspection, IDPS, web categories, are going to be an extra fee if you need to do these, which is kind of a shame. I honestly think that security should be one of the things you don't pay for. It's like, I get so aggravated with car companies where they're like, this extra security feature that could keep you out of a crash is an extra fee. If I ever own my own company, security will never be an extra fee. Security will be base out of the box. And Azure, if you're listening to this, somebody from Azure, make security, even the premium security, base out of the box. That's what you should do. Just because security is so important. Every little bit that you can do is so important to just protecting your customers, protecting your users, whoever's using your thing. And, Azure, I would be the customer of Azure as well as my customer. So anyways, I think their premium firewall is really cool, and I wish that they wouldn't charge for it. All right, I saw this. I found this very interesting. We have talked previously about Elasticsearch and its disastrous fallout with AWS, and it looks like AWS is adding on to what they provide in AWS and kind of taking that war with Elasticsearch to the next level. They still have not released their open source distribution of it, something I would love to see and I keep looking for. As soon as it's released, I'll tell you guys when it's there so that we can see it. But currently, I have not found it. And last but not least, here is their open distribution for Elasticsearch. I keep showing you guys this page just to prove that I did search for it, and Elasticsearch is not here yet. All right. Well, that is pretty much it for me today. Thanks, guys, for coming out and hanging out. I hope that you enjoyed this stream. Please feel free to come out. I think I'm going to start doing them at like 4:30. It makes dinner a little bit easier for me. I'm trying to do a good time for East Coast US as well as Europe. I know it's kind of late for you guys. But anyways, I'm going to get going. I have some videos to be working on. And I hope that you guys have a fantastic week and look forward to seeing you guys next week.